specific thing he did. It was all intentional. Um, he intentionally like hid what he looked like. He didn't want people to know like what he looked like initially. His label's called Tie Dye, you know, right? So he did, and so he kept that on the low. He got a distribution deal with an American company. So his music, he's a Japanese artist, and his music's being imported into Japan, being sold for more than other Japanese artists. I mean, it's genius, man. Like, and cause he knew that. Uh, how can I put it? The one thing you see that when you go, at least from my perspective, as a hip hop head coming from the states, in particular, I'm from Maryland. I was living in New York, so it's like I'm more authentic. You see what I'm saying? Than someone else or whatever who would quote unquote do hip hop in some people's eyes, not everybody. But if he's working with me, and they're hyping it like, hey, you guys should already know about this guy. He's done this, he's done that. Boom, boom, boom. Check out his new single. That's how it's being promoted. So they just gravitate to it. Like, this is the truth. We need to be on this. And that's why like my music kind of jumped. Just like it went from, I was like, 1 second I was no one that anyone knew of, And then the next thing you know, I got a friend coming in town from Japan. And he's like, bro, you're everywhere. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're everywhere. I go to the record store. It's a big old picture of Stan. I go to get some sneakers. It's a poster of you in the window. I walk down here, it's a flyer on the ground. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, you're everywhere, bro. And and it was all part of his master plan. Like, I'ma sell myself as an import, and then when I get a name, then I'm gonna let the world know. Like, because what he saw was there were American artists who were more popular than Japanese artists in Japan. You know what I mean? So if they don't think I'm Japanese, I'm gonna get more burned. Until the Japanese establish their own sound and their own scene, and then, hey, I'm Japanese. you know. Matter of fact, the only reason why these guys stuff sound like this is because they're trying to do what I do, and so that's really how he did it, man. And that's amazing. Like I was confused by. I mean, I was young. I turned 21 in Japan, so I was a young dude when I first met him. And it was crazy to me. Like, a lot of his beats sounded like throwback stuff. It wasn't what New York stuff was sounding like. So it was tough for me to get as much burn with doing that stuff. Like, see, nowadays we have this whole jazz hop scene. You see what I'm saying? When I was doing it initially, there was no scene. Like, see, it showed up. Technically, what he was doing, and I still give credit to the sound being unique, but for the most part, like, it was kind of a spin-off of what early Tribe, like what Tribe was doing, like with infusing the jazz and different things like that. Because he was clearly a Tribe fan, he was a Dilla fan. He loved a lot of different artists. You go through his collection, see all types of stuff in there. He loved jazz. So what happened was it was kind of like I kind of got on the train late in the eyes of my American peers and stuff, So they were like, it's cool, but it sounds kind of throwback. But then as hip hop and the mainstream got progressively worse, people wanted more of that throwback. So, and I was consistently doing it. And then when Lincoln with Marcus stuff, it had that feel, but it was still like progressive. His drums, his melodies were strong, his drums were still aggressive enough. So it was like kind of that. If you look at, and I'll say this and then we kind of keep moving. Um, Here's something to pay attention to in music, right? It's kind of like, not everything's black and white, but we're going to take it there for a second. All right, if you look at jazz, for example, all right, look at the greats, Miles Davis, a lot of these bebop artists and whoever, where they were experimenting a lot, kind of doing stuff that was it was real, for lack of better words, experimental. They were kind of pushing the envelope, trying to see where they could take it. The world knew who they were, but it wasn't like it was in regular rotation like that. Then something like Bossa Nova comes along, where it softened the percussion, put more emphasis on the melody, you know. Becomes like, a coffee shop. If Starbucks was around back then, Girl from Ipanema was playing. You know what I'm saying? They're like, it doesn't give it. Or Take Five, Dave Brubeck, you know what I mean? So, like, I look at what we're doing as paying attention to that and realizing that mainstream mainstream or like a large, there's a larger group of people who prefer melody over that drum. You know, that drum that kind of powers hip hop, or just, or let's just say music that from the African diaspora, like period, like it's driven by the drum, whether it's samba, reggae, whatever. So like, and so of course that naturally happens with hip hop. So what we kind of did, his melodies are strong, they're beautiful. You can hear every note that's in it. But then at the same time, his drums, like for me, they were powerful. They were still powerful. They weren't like extremely subdued. You know, like pushed too far to the back where it was so like, because that's what you hear a lot in the jazz hop scene. In my personal opinion, you know, I'm fans of what we do. I like what we do. I'm our biggest fan. But the truth be told, you know, without taking shots at other jazz hop artists, I'm not really huge fans of everything that's out in the jazz hop scene. And it's just because I think, in terms of what we do, um, we're very much conscious of that the importance of the melody, but staying true to the fact that we are hip hop, and making sure that drum plays its role. You understand? And so I think what we got is like that perfect fusion, and that's why, like, if you kind of look at what's been happening in the jazz hop scene, a lot of people are gravitating to what we're doing, because they don't realize it, but subconsciously they connecting with it, and it has a lot to do with that, but also the message, you know. So yeah, man, it's everything. It's real strategic without being obvious that we're, you know, that that's what